We're so excited.
I know. I'm
Me
really glad you're
too.
Do you
here.
want to tell a little bit about Lisa and then we'll
I
start
want
asking our
Lisa to
questions?
tell a little bit about Lisa. And then the other thing I was thinking would be fun um, is because I have not looked back at our email. I meant to look back at our email correspondence, but maybe I'm kind of glad I didn't because I have I remember talking to you. I remember the whole thing. But
Uh-huh.
let's just start with why don't you tell us a little bit about you? Give us the Lisa bio background.
Okay, so I am an audio. Can you guys hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
great. So I am an audiobook narrator, of course. I have been doing this for about 13 years. I live in Los Angeles. I've got two kids. My daughter is a senior in high school. She's going to go off to college next year. But anyway,
That's a whole
anyway.
thing.
Not the whole thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. But that's not what we're talking about today. So I started narrating when my kids were little, and I came to this through a theater background. So I have a degree in musical theater and moved to Los Angeles when I was 23 years old and started working in the film industry. So I started um, kind of on the creative development side of things. So I worked for a production company and then a talent agency and then a studio. And then decided I wanted a little bit more work-life balance because my husband and I had gotten married and were ready to have kids. And I missed performing. And voiceover was a really um, great avenue that I had kind of been exposed to through working on the film side of things. And so I started pursuing commercial voiceover and kind of through a fluke found audiobooks because a friend from college had an audiobook production company. And anyway, and he gave me my first shot and I fell in love and that's where I found work. So I'm now about 300 books in. Um,
300? Oh my
yeah,
God.
so that's over 13 years.
So,
So but yeah, and I've narrated for all of the big five publishers. I do a wide range of genres from all sorts of different types of nonfiction, thrillers, some romance, and any good story I can get my hands on.
were you a big reader before you started narrating audiobooks?
I've always loved books. I don't know that I've been doing this for so long and life was busy, so I didn't have tons of time for recreational reading, but I've always loved books.
That's
And
wild because I
yeah.
mean that means you've read over 300 books.
Yes, I have twice.
13 years.
That's actually a lot of
That's a lot of
books.
books.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Oh,
okay, and so I mean I have so many questions.
oh, I know.
We have to figure
have
out
a
where
lot
our
of questions.
entry
Where
point
to
is.
go?
Yes. My first one is just in terms of, well, let's just talk about Puppy Brain because I'm sure that people listening are like, wait, it's so weird to see you on screen and hear your voice, but also I've listened to Puppy Brain and you are the voice of Puppy
That's
Brain.
you.
And so from my side, I I really actually I had no idea what was going to happen with the audiobook. I didn't even I in my memory I'm like I don't think I was even thinking about an audiobook. It was not on my radar at all.
Hmm.
And then I got an email from Macmillan Audio saying, here's some narrators that you could listen to. And I was like, oh, well, this is a new fun thing. This is in the
I
midst
remember
of,
you sending them to me.
Yes.
Who do you think? Who do you like?
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know that that was such a luxury too, that I was able to be so hands-on in the process. Lee, my agent, who's on this call, so she's listening, had said to me, you know, that's really great that I got to be so involved in the hand picking. But I kept listening. And the chapter that you read, do you remember the chapter you read?
I think I just listened to the clip for like a second. I think it was chapter 2
Yeah.
that I sent you.
Yes. And it was technical. It had a lot of it leaned more sciencey
Hmm.
than all the warm parts of Puppy Brain. And so that really threw me because I was like, why? I mean, I'm glad to hear the science part, but the heart of the book is the warmth about puppies.
Hmm.
I was really feeling worried that that wasn't going to come through. So I remember hearing your clip a few times, and everybody I sent it to liked your clip. We all liked you the best.
We all liked you the best.
Oh, good. That's
Yeah.
great.
First choice.
Yes. And so I think then that we emailed and talked about getting on a call together. Is that right?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then Well, you tell me what you remember about our call.
Gosh, I just remember having like feeling such a great connection with you and just talking about puppies and what we were going to do with the book. And like the emotional connection was
Mhm.
really what you cared the most about.
Mhm.
That came through. And that came, and I was so on board with that because when I had read the book by the time we chatted, so I knew what I was getting into.
You had read
And
the whole book?
I read most of it before. It depends on the book, and I read as much as I need to get a sense of the tone and what is coming, and like words that I need to look up, and so I can do pronunciation research ahead of time, and to figure out like what your intent is, because that's when I approach nonfiction, like that's the job is for me to convey your intent, like whether you're trying to persuade someone or entertain them or educate. And this one is a lot of education, but also like there's so much love infused in every page. So I feel like that's what we spent a lot of time talking about.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, okay, this is going to be rabbit hole central over here. So, when you're
I'll
contacted
keep checking all the time.
about narrating a book, you always have enough to, does it always, do you always do like a sample reading first?
No, it depends on the project.
Okay.
Sometimes I get a just a straight offer that they just say, "Hey, we'd like you to do this book. Are you available for these dates?" This one was obviously an audition, so I got an email. I think it was January 2nd from Katie Robitsky at Macmillan
Mhm.
asking if I would audition. I was out of town at the time, and so I actually ended up doing that audition on my phone, which I don't normally do. I normally do auditions in my booth, controlled setting.
Yeah.
The sound quality is great. I can edit as I record the audition. So, because I make mistakes all the time. Um, anyway, I did it on the fly, and that always is a little bit nerve-wracking because it's not usually my most comfortable spot, but I'm so glad that it worked. And then I think it was a couple weeks later. Actually, I went through and I did look back at the
Okay.
correspondence. So
Okay, one of us
just
is
to get the
doing
dates. So I sent the audition in the next day, and then on January 11th, Katie let me know that you guys had picked me. So
Yes.
That is wild. Just on the when you're doing it on your phone, do you go into like a room where there's like, do you have pillows and some little like,
yes,
just so what like describe that? Because I
yeah.
don't do it. I
So
have a friend who's a voice actor.
yeah, so I was at my mother-in-law's house in their basement, and I think I had to try a few different places, like a few different rooms to get a sound that I was happy with.
Yes.
And it's normally closets with hanging clothes or lots of soft surfaces. Because what you don't want is a big echoey room with hard surfaces where the sound can bounce off of.
Hmm.
So smaller, lots of like blankets or bedding or hanging clothes, that'll do a pretty good job of dampening the sound and create what's called sound deadening. So it's just a really clean sound. So I had to do a little bit of searching and trial and error to find a good spot where there also wasn't like a like air conditioning noise or a water heater or water pipes or there's just so many
Oh my
sounds that you
gosh.
would have to listen for when you're in a house that anyway that can be distracting when you're listening to just one quiet voice in your head.
When you first started doing audiobooks, did you go to a studio?
No, my husband built me a super makeshift studio. At first, when I like the first book I did, it was a box that was probably like 2 feet square that was the interior was lined with acoustical foam, which you see on the walls behind me. Um, and the microphone sat inside that. And I would stand at that and record. I mean, this was so makeshift. And that only lasted for a few months. I think within a year, I had bought a portable sound studio. You can buy sound studios, and I actually got mine off of Craigslist, so it was a used one. In LA, you can find all kinds of fun sound
Yeah.
Oh, I
recording things
can. I even thought
on
of that.
Craigslist. And that worked for a number of years. And then during COVID, we actually upgraded and built a custom booth, which I'm sitting in now, in our garage. So
Wow.
Okay, this is so fascinating. Do you, when the project comes in, like, have you turned down projects? And if so, is it just not a vibe, or what's the situation if you don't go forward with one?
I rarely turn down a project. If I do, it's because of date conflicts,
Mm,
generally. There's a couple genres I'm not comfortable doing, and the publishers that I work with know that, so I don't get those offers very often. So occasionally, if it's a publisher or producer I'm not familiar with, if they offer me a book like that I'm just not comfortable with for genre and content reasons, I'll turn that down. But it's rare that I do that. And just because I have established relationships with most of the people that
mhm.
I work with. So usually if I have to turn a project down, it's just because they have a very specific recording window that they need and I'm already booked.
Okay, so I kind of want to go through like the step by step because I don't know
Yeah,
how it
okay.
comes to be. So like with Puppy Brain, you found out that you had been chosen, and so what happens from there?
So they had a deadline of when they needed the audio files by, I think it was like March 12th or March 11th. So they sent me the audition in January.
Hmm.
I knew I had the project, I think by January 11th. And at some point within that time, because the script is not always available by the time when I do the audition, or at least the final recordable script isn't always available.
Wait, when
So
you, what do you
sometimes
mean by script?
Or the
the book,
manuscript.
the
Oh,
manuscript.
got it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm going to read and
Yeah,
record.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Um, so often I will get a prep script in advance so I can at least start reading it. But
Mhm.
then I often don't get the recordable script until right before I'm supposed to start recording. And that varies by project. Sometimes I get the recordable way in advance, but sometimes it's not up until my recording window. So that's usually why there's a lag between when you audition and when you actually start recording, is because you're waiting on final script.
Mm.
So, so I found out that I was doing the book on the 11th. I read it sometime in February. I think we chatted on March 1st.
Oh, okay.
And then I started recording, I think on around the 4th around the 4th. So just a few days after we spoke, I started recording. Um, this was, I can't remember exactly how long. Let me look just a second. Puppy Brain was. So Puppy Brain is a 13 and a half hour book. So that probably took me, I maybe started like right after we started speaking or after we spoke, because that's almost like that's a week and a half of recording time, almost 2 weeks of recording time. Um, and then once I'm finished recording, I send all of the files to Macmillan, and then they do post production where they edit it. Although the files that I send are mostly edited because of the way I record. As I record, like if I make a mistake, I'll stop the recording and then like put my cursor right before the mistake and it'll pre-roll for me so I can seamlessly go in and start recording again. So when I finish recording a chapter, it's essentially edited. There's some stuff that they'll have to go in and clean up, but they're not like editing out a whole bunch of misreads.
Hmm.
Generally is the idea anyway.
Okay.
So then they proofread it. They listen for any pronunciation mistakes or misreads. Like sometimes I'll say the wrong word and I don't catch it. And then they give me a list of pickups. So they send the editor and the proofer will catch mistakes in my recording. Like I said the wrong thing and didn't catch it myself. And they send me just a list of sentences that I need to re-record. And then they insert those and then they master the whole thing. And so I got the pickups back, I think, on March 21st. So just
And
about
just so
10 days.
everyone listening knows, Pub Day was April 24th, which I'm assuming that audio released the same day. So I'm just thinking about tick, tick,
Yeah.
tick, tick, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So the timelines for audiobooks are usually pretty tight and
Yeah.
there's not a lot of wiggle room. So it's important that everybody stays on schedule. So I got the pickups on 10 days after I submitted files. They would have needed another few days to insert them and do all of the mastering. And then the audiobook release date was April 30th.
Oh, okay.
So,
See, I don't even know.
yeah.
Because I didn't know any of this was happening. Right? I mean, like, I am officially the most clueless author there ever was. Like,
I am sure that is not true.
oh, I'm pretty sure Lee could speak up on this. She's like, wow, the fact that we made it through is just miraculous.
That's hilarious.
But I mean, it was such a surprise, like, oh, there's going to be an audiobook. I mean, and I didn't know all of this was happening. And I didn't know like that you were getting, that somebody was listening to it to make sure it was accurate. I just had no idea any of it.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense, but
of course it makes sense.
What we think
but
about.
I think I was a deer in the headlights through all of that.
Yeah.
So then two questions. One is, how many hours a day, like once you start to record, how many hours a day do you typically record?
So my goal is usually to get 2 finished hours of audio done per day. So like that's a finished product. That's an hour of the book that you would listen to. So I try and get 2 of those. It takes me 2 to 3 hours to do 1 finished hour of audio. So I'm usually recording like 6, and sometimes I'm closer to the 3. It depends on how technical the book is, or anyway, on a variety of things. So it's 4 to 6 hours a day of recording, and I'll take breaks in there. But yeah, that's about.
It's a lot of talking.
Do you have like warm up exercises, or like how do you keep your voice?
I do. Well, so I've been doing this a long time. It's stamina that's built up over time. I try to work out every morning that I'm recording, because it gets my body warm, and your vocal cords are part of your body. So when my body's like primed and ready to go, that makes it easier. My voice sounds better. Like when I wake up in the morning, my voice sounds a lot lower, and it takes a while to get it to kind of its more natural register. So pay attention when you wake up in the morning. Your voice doesn't sound like it's warm and like it's. Anyway,
it is so interesting.
This is so interesting.
Yeah. So, and then I'll do some like tongue twisters and some vocal eases sometimes just to make sure.
Okay, will you do one?
Oh, okay. Let me find. Oh goodness.
Let me just put you on the spot.
Do it. So,
wait, that sounds.
I have a list of
and
them.
And then Aly will copy you, and I'll just all observe.
Okay. So here's the fun one. Where's the Betty? Betty Botter bought a bit of butter, but she said this butter's bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter, but a bit of better butter, that would make my batter better. So Betty Botter bought a bit of better butter, better than her bitter butter, and she put it in her bitter batter and made her bitter batter a bit better.
Oh, okay. My gosh.
Here's an easy one you could do. Red leather, yellow leather, red leather, yellow leather.
My kids did that.
Right. I can't.
My kids did it for choir. What is it? Red
leather, yellow leather.
Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather, yellow leather. Red leather.
We'll be walking around all day. Red leather, yellow leather. This explains why my effort at recording the chapter that you did, which I can't think of. If anybody remembers in the chat, whatever the name of the chapter is, chapter 2. So Lee had said to me, you could consider recording your own audiobook. A lot of authors really enjoy doing that. And my son, Max, is the one that wore the glasses in the airport, has big opinions
about everything.
And he's usually right, which is so annoying. But so he's like, no, like immediately no.
Immediately no.
No, immediately no. And I'm like, well, I mean, I could. That's kind of rude. And I said, well, I should try it. And so Macmillan had said that I could audition. So Max, unfortunately, was home when this happened. And
I can imagine how that debacle
is
went.
Directly across from my office.
Oh,
so I needed to get this audition thing done and to try it and get it in. Okay. So and our friend is a voice actor, so I knew I needed to create. I didn't go in a closet, which would have been smart because let me just say it was terrible, but also I couldn't believe how hard it was. I couldn't get through like 2 sentences without messing up a word. And then I would make it through and I'd be so proud of myself that I did it without messing up. And then I'd hear, that was awful.
can always count on your kids to keep it real.
Oh
They
my
will
God.
keep it so real. They will keep it real. Is
And
it adopt or shop responsibly?
adopt or shop responsibly. And I was just, I mean, I spent like an hour trying to get like a paragraph done. And then I was like, no,
Never mind.
this is not happening.
Yeah.
This is not for me. I can't do this. Maybe someday in the future.
Right.
No, Lisa, this is her jam. So anyhow, yeah, I'm really glad too. And so many people, just so you know, have said to me that they love your narration, that they
Oh,
feel
good.
all the like warmth and like kindness coming through. Share it because you're a golden mommy. I mean, right?
Well, I had a golden growing up and loved that dog so much. We actually have a cat now because my husband grew up with cats. But yeah, no, so I have always loved the breed, and they're so friendly and so gentle, and so I instantly connected with the book and with your Instagram feed, and it that so I would every day. Look at the videos on your Instagram feed to get me in like the right frame of mind and in that emotional space to then go and read about them.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea. This is
Yep.
so much fun to hear.
Yes.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm wondering for you, out of all of the things you've narrated, of all the 300, what do you feel is easier, or maybe what do you feel is more challenging? That's maybe the better question, is if you're thinking it's like dialogue or fiction, nonfiction, science, memoir, humor, thriller. Like, is there something that you find most challenging or something that you find most easier? Or talk about that, like as a professional, where do you feel that edge is for you?
So the stuff that is the hardest is the really technical stuff that's not written in a way you speak. The easiest stuff to narrate is stuff that's written conversationally.
Makes sense.
And like shorter sentences. The really long, complicated sentences get really challenging. So there was a book that I did about Christian women in Christian history, like back to the beginning of time. So it went through like BC and early AD and talking about women in scripture, and the author wrote with a lot of big words. I had to look up over 400 words. And these were and names of people that there's no easy way to figure out how these words are pronounced.
Wow.
And the sentences were really complicated. So that took me forever. So that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I never thought about that. Like, where do you even go, especially for if these are not common day words? Like, what would even be a source then to figure out how something is properly pronounced?
So there's a bunch of different pronunciation sources. So for anyone who's lived in the last 70 years even, you can often find YouTube videos of their name being said and ideally them saying their own name. There's a website called 4VO that has a lot of foreign language words. So basically you can find words in just about any language you can imagine with native speakers pronouncing that word. Merriam-Webster has all kinds of medical stuff and anything that would exist in the dictionary. Youglish.com you can look up anything. You can just type in a word that you want to know how to pronounce, whether it's like a proper name, a business, an industry term. And if there's a recording of someone saying it, they'll kind of find a bunch of different instances that you can then click through. And those are where I go.
About this when listening to an audiobook, that
Yep.
all the work that goes into narrating it.
What's happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, like you're not just sitting down with the script. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I bet you notice when somebody says something wrong, like a local term, that you're like, hey, that's not right. That's a narrator who didn't quite do their job thoroughly.
Oh, it's so
that's
interesting. How are we doing on
We're doing
time?
okay.
Because, well, I think I want to make sure we leave enough time to talk about. You had shared with me, and it was after the audio was released. You reached out to me and let me know about what had happened in your personal life. I think while you were recording. So I mean, share with us this story and what happened.
Yeah. So to preface this, I am so grateful to have been the narrator of Puppy Brain because it had a huge impact on my life. And it is the book that has probably brought me more joy than anything else I have narrated. And I'll share why that became really significant.
Mm.
So I think I mentioned that I started recording sometime between the 1st and the 4th. I can't remember exactly what date, but I had a biopsy, a breast biopsy scheduled for March 5th. And I had had a mammogram in December that came back with, oh, we need you to go for a follow-up. I'd had the follow-up. I put it off rescheduling it because I'm like, I'm sure it's no big deal. Then the follow-up was February. And after that, I got the results of that. They asked me to schedule a biopsy within a couple of weeks. And I went into that thinking, this is just out of an abundance of caution. I'm 42. I don't have family history of anything. I'm not worried about this. But on March 5th, I went in for that biopsy and all of a sudden, it felt like a really big deal. And I thought that it was just going to be a simple procedure and like 15 minutes. And they had told me going in, they're like, you're going to be tired, plan to take the day off. And I'm like, I'll be fine. I'm not taking the day off.
Mm.
I will, anyway, this won't be a big deal. And I don't know if anyone listening has had a breast biopsy. They are not fun. I had 2 separate surgeons tell me that they use the same word in separate instances, and they called them barbaric. And I would second that because they're pretty awful. And all of a sudden, just kind of the way that test unfolded, I knew it was a big deal. And I kind of like had a hard time keeping it together emotionally coming out of that. Like I was in tears coming out of the biopsy. I was sobbing by the time I got home and was like completely fell apart. And I think I knew at that point that what the diagnosis was going to be. And I can't remember exactly why I needed to get in the booth that afternoon, but I ended up needing to record something. And I'm like, what am on earth? Like, I was kind of a wreck that day. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? And I got in the booth and I pulled up your Instagram feed. And it immediately brought me so much peace and joy. And it enabled me to focus and clear my head and not worry about the other stuff. And just, it filled me with love. And I was able to then work the rest of the afternoon and just put all of that other stuff that I was dealing with aside. And so your videos, like whether people are looking for a puppy or not, they bring happiness to the world.
That's good.
And so it was 2 days later that I got a phone call from the radiologist, and usually fast news is bad news in the medical world. And sure enough, I received a diagnosis of I had DCIS, ductal carcinoma in situ. At the time, it was stage 0, so we caught it early.
Oh,
And it was not invasive. So in situ means not invasive. So it was confined to within my milk ducts. But truly, that was probably one of the most overwhelming parts of my cancer journey was that first week, the biopsy to receiving the diagnosis, and then all the phone calls that I had to make and the appointments that I had to set up and start navigating that medical journey. And through it all, I got to spend my day watching puppy videos and reading about how to love these beautiful little creatures. And it kept me sane and it kept me emotionally healthy. And I will forever remember that experience as a wonderful one.
oh my gosh.
Wow.
I mean, I'm hearing this for the first time, you guys. I mean, I got a little insight, but thank you for sharing that. I actually got an email. It's funny because for a long time, I couldn't hear the impact that the videos were having on people. I don't know, like, I just couldn't hear it. Like people would say they're really helping me, and I'm sitting with my mom, and she's in the middle of treatment and we're watching the videos all day and it couldn't like I just had this force field up that I couldn't hear it. And releasing puppy brain has really helped me see the impact that dogs have and that the videos have on people. And even last night I got an email from a follower who I've never met. She lives in Canada and she just got a cancer diagnosis yesterday. And I said, I'm talking to Lisa today, and I think it's crazy the way the ripple effects of all of it.
Yep.
I'm just astonished by it.
Yeah. Well, and not even just health challenges. I had a good friend who loves dogs and has a dog. And when her mom died, I would send her links to your videos every day. And she said how like those lifted her spirits as well.
Hmm. Okay, so you're okay.
I am okay. This was 2 years ago. In fact, because it's February 28th.
Yes.
We are almost exactly 2 years since my cancer diagnosis. So I'm a hugely open book about my cancer experience. I feel like it's important to share this story. So I'm happy to go into as much or as little detail as you like. But if my first diagnosis was that it would be a lumpectomy followed by radiation. We did further imaging, and every imaging that I did revealed more that the cancer was more spread out in my breast than they had initially thought. So that became so lumpectomy was no longer an option. I had to have a mastectomy instead. And I opted to do a bilateral mastectomy. The cancer was only in one breast, but I didn't want it to give it a chance to come in the other one. I just wanted to take care of all of it at once. So I did I did both breasts, and I had surgery in June. And I chose to do the most complicated reconstruction option because I liked the long-term benefits the most. I didn't want implants for a variety of reasons. And I didn't even know this was an option until I met with a plastic surgeon. They can take your stomach fat and use that to recreate the breast tissue. So it's a microvascular surgery where they reconnect all the blood vessels, so it's living tissue. It is it's pretty amazing what they can do. But it's a much more difficult recovery. So my surgery was supposed to be 12 to 14 hours. There were some complications. It ended up being 24. So I went into the hospital. They tell you, you wake up about 12 hours later. And when I started to wake up in the hospital, I asked what time it was. And I expected them to say like 8:00 p.m. on Tuesday because I'd gone in at 8 a.m. on Tuesday. And they said, it's 10 a.m. on Wednesday. It's like, what on earth
my God
happened?
But your family must have been beside themselves.
I think it nearly killed my mother.
Yeah.
But the surgery was a success. I didn't have any complications following it. It was a really hard road because I had an abdominal incision and then both of my breasts, and they don't want you to move for a couple of days because they need to make sure that the circulation is still functioning. So I had a Doppler test every 15 minutes for the first 24 hours. And then it was 30 minutes for the second 24. And then every day it would double. And then I was able to get out of bed like 3 days later. So I was in the hospital for a week. And then it was basically like learning. I had to figure out how to stand upright again and slowly start walking and exercising. So it was really a 12-week recovery from that surgery, just until I could kind of physically function normally.
Yes.
But what I really underestimated with the whole cancer journey was the emotional and mental toll that it took. Like I knew going in, like from day one, that I had a 99% survival rate. So like it wasn't scary.
Yeah.
But it was just so much to figure out and process and navigate. And it was a hard road to walk. Like I knew I had to do some hard things to get to a place of health. And that took a huge toll. So even though I was physically recovered after 12 weeks, like I couldn't handle the same workload I could before. It was hard to mentally focus. And so I really think it was about a year to a year and a half before I really felt like myself again. But we are now on the other side of that, and I feel better than I have in decades. And I learned so much through that journey that I'm grateful for the things that I've learned and experienced along the way. And through all of it, because I was open about my experience, I had so much love and support, and that got me through.
That's what I was going to ask is, my sister is this starting tomorrow will be the month that is 10 years since her diagnosis of stage 4 rectal cancer. And so, like getting to the 10-year mark and she did have, her prognosis wasn't 99%. So, the gratitude of being here and that she's still here and her body's not the same and life doesn't look the same and all that, but it's just like the lessons in it. But I did want to ask you, because that 12 weeks, obviously most of the people here today are women. I had a mammogram scare a month ago. Many of us, you've had a biopsy, many of us go on this, and some of us get put back into general population and some of us go down the path that you've gone down, right? There's so many different ways. So I would love to hear from you, things that sustained you, that were game changers for you in terms of how you made it day to day, or what you say to women who you hear have just had a similar diagnosis. I mean, I'm sure you've had this question a million times, so we have to hear it.
Talking to other people who had been down this road was really helpful. I have a cousin who is, he's actually a medical physicist, and they're the guys that design radiation treatments, and he focuses specifically on breast cancer. So he knew the landscape of what I was facing. And so I talked to him a lot. So information gathering when you're facing something like this is really important. I would highly recommend taking someone with you to every single appointment, because I would walk out. I remember walking out of my first appointment with a surgeon, and I had asked my mom to come with me. And walking out of the building, I was drained. I was so tired. It was just so much to process. I felt like I needed a nap. And having somebody else there to help remember what is said was really helpful. Sharing my story and what I was going through with friends made a huge difference, because I would get text messages, Lisa, we're with you. Lisa, we're here for you. And I know people were praying for me, and I'm a fairly religious person, and I tangibly felt the power of those prayers. I can honestly say there is not a period in my life where I felt more love on a daily basis than when I was going through this. And that was what sustained me.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you that the question and answer section is just blowing up with support and
thank
gratitude for you sharing so openly. Lots of people are crying. You know what I mean?
Me too.
No, we don't leave any criers behind. If anyone's gonna cry, we're going to cry with them. But it's so good to hear, and just what a powerful and beautiful story this entire thing is. I mean, man. And what an effect, I think even what an effect our own vulnerability, our own stories, our own, the stuff that maybe we don't share quite as often has on other people. So never forget that.
Yeah.
What a gift.
I think the component of sharing with people and talking, I feel like for my sister, just watching her, that was one of, how are we doing?
Good.
Okay. Going. I would say one of my biggest takeaways watching her, not only for her, but it helps the people who love you. Because, and I have had a friend who was very tight-lipped and had a diagnosis, it was breast cancer, didn't want to talk to anybody. And, that was just so hard, because everything's locked up.
Yeah.
Don't really get and there is so much strength in walking through it together and being really open and vulnerable. And now
Yep.
I'm sure that you have experienced this too. My sister, it is unreal the calls that she gets, the people who reach out, who have a family member or somebody that my sister will,
Hmm.
her name's Tracy, will then go like meet with and talk to and sit with them and just
Yep.
sit,
Just
just
sitting,
Yep.
sitting.
being a
Yep.
compassionate witness,
Hmm.
bearing witness to someone else's
Hmm.
suffering with them.
Yeah.
That's, I
It
mean,
is amazing the strength that just that lends.
Hmm.
yes, I have gone through some dark times, not in this realm, but in another one. And I feel like the thing I used to say is that my friends would show up and light a candle and sit in the dark with me. And that's because people would say, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say when you have a big issue, like whether it's cancer or something else that you're going through. And a lot of people will step away because they feel so afraid to say the wrong thing. And
Hmm.
if I would say to anybody that knows someone that's going through something hard, there is nothing you can say that can fix this. And that's not what's expected of you, but just to show up and
Hmm.
sit in the dark with the
Hmm.
person that you love. That's it.
Yeah.
And
That's
I
it.
know you know
Yeah.
this
Yep.
firsthand.
That's it.
Just
Yeah.
come sit in the dark with me.
Yeah. And it feels like when you're trying to do that for someone, it feels like you're not doing anything.
Like it's not
Hmm.
enough, but
Like it's not enough, but
everything.
it is absolutely everything.
It's everything.
Hmm.
Okay. I know we do have one thing else that we did want to ask you before we end, because I mean, I feel like we could go on forever in a billion
Yeah.
years.
Hmm.
Um, so grateful for this.
Yeah.
But if you were to encourage someone who wanted to get into doing audio books or doing voice acting or anything
There were a
like
lot of
that,
people that asked this question, so I
Yeah.
don't want to
we don't want to.
not.
We don't want to be
I,
like, "Hey, that's nice."
yeah,
Anyway,
let's go back to audiobooks. But I want to make sure
yeah,
it is such a niche thing that you're doing,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of people who actually are. I was like, wow, a lot of people are really
they really want
interested
to know.
in doing narration for audiobooks. So yeah, go ahead, finish your question.
No, that's just it. How would you direct someone that
Yeah,
might
like
be
what's
interested in this, or what's your advice to them, or what are some steps you think people should take? Just
Well, funny you should ask this. I have actually spent the last year and a half writing a course on how to become an audiobook narrator. And we're about halfway through the edit. It should be published sometime in April. So I will send you that information because anyway, it's a very comprehensive course on like what it looks like to be an audiobook narrator. I think there's 8 full modules of lessons, and we walk through like how to prep a script, how to set up a recording studio, how to figure out how long an audiobook will be, and all of those, and and then the technique of narration, and then the marketing piece and the finding work. So what I would say is if you have an acting background, it helps because it is the biggest key to successful narration is being able to emotionally connect to the script and being able to speak conversationally. Um, Audiobook work is one of the few areas of voiceover where you don't use an agent. So some on-camera actors and some commercial voiceover talent who also do some audiobook work, they will use their agents, but people who are just strictly audiobook narrators, most of us don't. Because it doesn't pay as much as some of the other fields of acting, and so it's not worth the time of the agents. So what that means is that I have to build relationships with everyone that I work with. And so I have to do all the networking and all my own marketing to find work. And so being an audiobook narrator is being an entrepreneur. And there's those networking skills that you need. You need to be able to I sit in this box by myself, talking to myself for
like a
6 hours
writer.
a day. And that takes a fair amount of discipline to be able to meet deadlines that I have, and responsibilities that I have to the publishers that I'm working for. And so being able to have good executive functioning skills is an important skill, but it is also the most accessible form of voiceover narration because anyone can do it. You do, in most cases, need to have a home studio. There are there are places to find work and get access to that work, but it is a skill that has to be developed over time.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers that
No, it
question.
totally does.
I do have a follow-up question to that. With number one, we want to make sure that we, send out your information about
Well,
your
that's what I was going to say,
thing,
is
Yeah.
say where
you know?
people can find you.
Yeah.
And also, I guess my question is too, is there with the module that or with the course you're selling, is there opportunities for people to ask more questions directly to you, or is
Absolutely.
it interactive? Because I'm seeing some questions pop up in the chat and I'm like, that probably sounds like something that they need to connect. So
Yeah, so I actually started this course because two friends of mine who are commercial voice actors built a platform, and they wrote, it's called the Voice Actor Career Kickstart, and same thing. So it is a how-to course on how to get into commercial voiceover, and they have built an entire community. So everyone who pays for their course has access to the other people who are studying and doing the same thing they are. They have workout groups, they have coaching opportunities, and then this audiobook course is going to go on the same platform. And so it will have its own community attached with the course that I will be moderating, and that you will be able to interact with the other people taking the course right alongside you and ask questions and all of those things.
Well, this is so,
that's
this is
amazing.
yes.
Congratulations to you for
Thank
putting this
you.
together.
Yes,
I
that
wish you
sounds-
the
Thank you.
most
Do
success.
you have a website where you're going to do, like, there's a newsletter people could subscribe to that they could get updates?
So I need to start posting stuff about that on my Instagram. So that's kind of how I will market it, and where you'll be able to find it is on my Instagram posts. I'll make sure that all of that is there.
Your Instagram, I'm going to actually I'm going to put that in the chat, what your Instagram
I think
is.
it's at lisa.j.larsen.
Exactly.
Looking it up. I've had to put it in a few times. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
It's at
Yes.
lisa.j.
Larsen.
Larsen.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
is there
it'll be
a
posted.
website, or is that the best place for people to find you?
Yeah, the website is not live yet for the audiobook course. So as soon as it is, I will post all of that information.
Okay, super. I am so glad that we did this, and I'm so grateful to you for your authenticity and just coming and sharing with us. It was really fun to get to talk with you.
You too. This is so fun. I mean, I feel like I know you so well because I follow you on Instagram. This has been really fun.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. It's been such a joy.
All right, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay, thanks. You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You have to find that.
I know,
bottom.
there's the end.
Yeah.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye,
Thanks
everybody.
so much.